This is the Toyota LandCruiser 70 Series, and it is far from perfect because you see, some might argue that it is overpriced at $75,000, and for that amount of money you don't get many features, and it does feel like generations behind in terms of innovation. But what you are getting is one of the very last back to basics off-roader, and I'm going to guide you through everything you need to know, some of the great things about the 70 Series and some of the things that I think need improving. And if you are new to the channel, don't forget to like, share, subscribe and hit the bell, and let's talk about the 70 Series. To add some clarity on why the 70 Series is iconic, back in 1984, the 70 Series replaced the FJ40, and by then Toyota had evolved the LandCruiser's design, which went on to be the more spacious and comfortable, family-friendly 55 and later 60 Series. And from there, the 80 Series, 100 Series, 200 Series and 300 Series, leaving the 70 Series vehicles as the pure workhorses within the range, specifically built for purpose for buyers in remote Australia. And there has been some noteworthy updates in 1999, 2007 and more recently in 2023, replacing the 4.5 litre turbo V8 for a Hilux 4-cylinder diesel. And what other rivals could you consider within this price range? Well, I'd be looking at a Prado GX or GXL, but if you do want something hardcore, off-road specific, the Jimny is also another great choice. And the 70 Series has a price range from $75,000 climbing up to $83,000, and you cannot order a V8 anymore. They have been discontinued, but what you can get is a wide selection of body styles between this, the $77,000 wagon, the Troop Carrier, and there's also the single and double cab chassis range. And also, depending on which grade you pick, a wide selection of colours to choose from. And in terms of ownership, warranty, servicing, running costs, everything you need to know has been listed on your screen. Okay, let's talk about styling. So, in this colour combination, I think this looks fantastic because it does blend in well within the retro appearance, which also includes boxy halogen indicators. The Toyota logo has also been spelt out, but you do get some modern touches like LED headlights with LED DRLs and auto high beam function, and stepping up to this GXL, LED fog lights and chrome on that plastic bumper bar setup. Looking lower down, a recovery point and 293mm of ground clearance. Moving on to the side view, the GXL gets a set of 16-inch alloy wheels finished off in grey, and these thick profile all-terrain tyres. There are also front and rear disc brakes, and for serious off-road driving, auto-locking hubs. The driver's side also gets a 3-piece snorkel, whilst on the passenger side you get a LandCruiser badge and a manual operated antenna. There's also plastic body cladding on all four corners, more indicators on the side, big chunky wing mirrors, but there are no roof rails on the top section, but you do get these aluminium side steps that do look and feel pretty durable, and I do also like the old styled door handles. At the back you'll come across a set of rear halogen combination lights, and the indicators are built in within that plastic bar setup, a tow bar down below, and a full-size spare wheel with an all-terrain tyre on that back section. And as I said, being the GXL, you get the extended chrome. Now, tell me your feedback below. Do you think this looks cool and retro, or do you think the design has just outdated? Write down what you think in the comments below. Here on the inside, it is going to look familiar if you have travelled in an 80 Series LandCruiser or any old Toyota Hilux. But the benefit to that is parts are going to be very easy to find, and the standard version of this car does not come with any carpets. Just vinyl flooring, vinyl seats, wind-up windows and no central locking. Whereas stepping up to this GXL, you do get central locking, electric window switches, which again are from the 1990s, carpet on the bottom with black floor mats, and I do like the velour trim, which is soft but not supportive, but comfortable enough for a long trip, but they are let down by the vinyl headrests. The seats also offer manual adjustment, and you also get a manually adjustable steering column. Air conditioning with, again, retro themed controls. Build quality also feels pretty good. The door slam feels solid. You have exposed metal, vinyl trim, hard plastics and velour. The steering wheel is a polyurethane wheel from the current generation Hilux, and the dashboard is completely plastic, nothing going on in the centre, and a hard and durable centre console lid. Moving on to infotainment, it all runs off this 6.7 inch screen, and you've got some buttons for volume, home, the voice control which does not work, and some buttons on the steering wheel, and along with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and both of them are wired. And that is a bit annoying because you've got a USB-A port which you need to run across the dash, and there's nowhere to put your phone. There's also AM, FM radio, and don't forget to put up that antenna, along with Bluetooth, USB, a 4-speaker sound system, and if I go into reverse, you get a camera with parking guidelines, but no front and rear parking sensors, and other key safety items include automatic emergency braking, a lane departure warning, and a passenger side airbag, along with an airbag on the steering wheel. And moving on to off-road controls, you've got the lever for the low-range transfer case, and the GXL does also come standard with front and rear diff locks, which is optional on GX. Down the bottom here, your trailer brake controller, and over on the right-hand side, an idle up switch to increase the revs for cold climates, and along with your DPF burn switch. And not long ago, this cluster was revised, but it is still retro themed with a 4.2 inch screen. And what about storage? You've got a decent sized glove box, but small. Over here, a little section for cigarettes, a small cup holder down the bottom here, and a section there, plus USB-C charging ports, a 12-volt socket, a center console with a lid to take off, and that exposes more additional storage. Over on the top here, there is no sunglasses holder, just a light, and there are no vanity mirrors. And on the doors, small door bin pockets, and the passenger gets a small cup holder. It is an easy car to climb in and out, and like I said, the GXL comes with central locking, and the key slots into the ignition. Here in the second row behind my driver's seat, knee room is pretty good, but toe room is pretty tight because the tracks are narrow, and over in the middle section, toe room and knee room is tight because you are kicking this plastic piece. But there is plenty of headroom for all three passengers, and you can also recline the seat backwards, move it forwards, and the middle passenger gets a proper seatbelt, replacing the lap style seatbelt. There are also pockets, grab handles up the top here, halogen lighting, velour trim, and electric window switches. Okay, boot space. So the doors open up into different sections, and that is going to reveal a large boxy space, but there are no official specifications on boot volume. So to give you an idea, you can quite easily fit 4 large suitcases back there. And of course, for more space, you can drop down the second row, increasing your boot volume. The rear bar is also metal with an integrated step to allow easy access into the back. And if someone locks you in, you can get out by pulling on a handle and unlocking it yourself. There's also a total of 4 tie-down points to keep your luggage in place. And these 2 rear windows also open up manually to allow airflow, which is again pretty retro and cool. Over on the left-hand side, your jack and spare toolkit, and on the right-hand side, the location for your windscreen top-up. All versions of the 70 series feature a 2.8 litre 4-cylinder turbo diesel engine, which develops 150 kilowatts, and if paired to this, the 5-speed manual, 450 Nm of torque. And as I mentioned before, the GXL gets front and rear diff locks, whereas the GX, that is optional, and on the Workmate, that is not available. And for anyone that doesn't know, the 70 series is based on a ladder frame chassis, and in other words, a body-on-frame construction. There's also a live axle at the front with radius arms and coil springs, and at the back, another live axle with a leaf spring setup. And for all the key specifications on off-road driving, everything you need to know has been listed on your screen. Towing is also pretty decent, 3,500 kilogram brake towing capacity, and payload is over 1,200 kilograms. Okay, driving impressions inside the 70 series. Over the bonnet, there's decent forward visibility, good side vision, The wing mirrors are also pretty good in terms of vision, and at the back visibility is also great. The whole cabin is also boxy and you do sit up nice and high, giving a commanding driving position. And I want to start by saying that this isn't a car that is going to suit everyone. It has been designed for a purpose, and that is to go off-road, to be rugged, to be durable and last a very long time. Let me give you a couple of examples. There is a lot of wind noise coming into the cabin because the interior isn't as well insulated compared to a modern day four-wheel drive. The steering is also hydraulic and there is a little bit of layeriness in the middle section, but there are some modern inclusions like stability control, ABS, front and rear disc brakes, which means if you do come across an animal in the middle of the road, it isn't too bad in terms of stopping ability. The clutch is also nice and light. The gearbox responds pretty well and it is an easy transmission to get used to. But do you know what I found very surprising? It is pretty comfortable, especially on a long journey. The suspension does feel like it is on the soft side, and going over really harsh bumps, it does take a bit of time to settle and it does jiggle around a lot, as you can see with the camera footage. But comparing it to a Suzuki Jimny, this is much better, especially for a long trip. But keep in mind, this does sit on a wider track and it is heavier, which might make a bit of a difference. But what does also make a difference is going for the GXL with the velour trim, because it is soft. Again, not supportive, not luxurious, but soft enough where it's not going to be unbearable out on the road. And I like the fact that there are no annoying driving aids. You still get a reversing camera, the lane centering alert, which you can turn off because it does beep at you a lot of the times, but I think it is appropriate in terms of reaction. The automatic braking did alert me as well. So yeah, enough safety tech to keep you on the road, and I think on the limit to what I'd want in my own personal car. The cruise control is easy to engage. You just hit that, flick it down and up to lock it or set it into position. And what about fuel consumption? Toyota says that the 4-cylinder LandCruiser 70 series will achieve 9.6 litres per 100, and I saw figures between 10 to 12 litres and 11 on the freeway. So not impressive, and especially not impressive compared to the Hilux, and the main reason for that is there is no 6th gear, because you are sitting on between 2 to 2,500 RPM on the motorway. But it is still better compared to the previous 4.5 litre turbocharged diesel V8 in terms of fuel consumption, and you do still get a long range fuel tank, 140 litres, so the fuel will last a very long time. Okay, let's go off-road. So just to be clear, this isn't a hardcore off-road course. It is just to get a feel on what this is like on the dirt, and we're going to put it into 4H and work our way down to 4 low and try out the front and rear diff locks. It does have a 12 metre turning circle, this car. Actually, I'll just go back so we can have a proper go. Now, I'm not expecting this car to struggle at all because, look, I've taken a Prado up here. That was effortless, and there is no doubt that this will just walk up, and that is exactly the case right now. It is a little bit muddy, but the wheels are hardly slipping. I don't see the traction control light going off. And yeah, plenty of clearance, nothing's touching. As I said, this isn't anything hardcore, but yeah, so far it's pretty good, especially climbing up that surface. And it does have a lot of character, this car, especially going off-road. You do feel pretty special. Now we're going to go back around and go down this hill, not using any hill descent control, so I might put it into four-wheel drive low range. You've got to put it into neutral. Yep, everything's turned off, and that seems to be going down okay. Like I said, plenty of visibility as well, and it is pretty controllable behind the wheel. And now we're going to go back up the hill in low range. So just a reminder to activate low range, pull it up and pull it towards you, and all the lights will turn off. And yes, and that is doing a pretty decent job. Compared to other rivals with low range gearboxes, it is going up a bit slower. It does rev around 2000 RPM in low range, going probably 5 kilometers, because I think it's trying to utilize all that torque from that powertrain. But so far that is pretty good. And I don't think you really need front and rear diff locks if you are in a 70 series, unless if you are doing something completely hardcore. Okay, back into four-wheel drive low range, and we're going to engage both the front and rear diff locks to see how this performs. And I don't think it's completely necessary to have the front and rear diff locks unless if you are doing some serious off-road driving. And people always criticise the 70 series for being basic and expensive, but you've really got to appreciate the four-wheel drive capability, the reliability, the engineering, what it's built for. And if you're not going to go off-road or use this on the farm or keep it for life, you're not going to get the value out of it. So with off-road driving impressions out of the way, let's wrap up with a verdict. So, a conclusion on the 70 series. Is it expensive? Well, it isn't cheap, but look at it this way. It is a car that you are buying for life, something that is very off-road capable, reliable, and the market has proven to us that these do hold their value. So you are getting most of your money back come resale time, and even if you wanted to keep it, it'll last forever. So I truly respect it for what it's capable for. But tell me in the comments below, would you pick this over something else, like a Prado for example, something more urban friendly? And for anyone new, don't forget to like, share, subscribe and hit the bell. Let me know your feedback, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.